So now I didn't introduce myself properly. I'm Karen Eley and I'm a certified money coach and financial educator. So I actually help women who feel confused or overwhelmed with money matters to build financial competence and confidence. And I do this by taking them through a unique step-by-step coaching process that uncovers the deep-seated money blocks that are subconsciously holding them back, both personally and financially. Then with this awareness, I then assist my clients to move from financial confusion to financial clarity by providing the tools, the strategies, support, and everything they need to be fully financially empowered. You see, the thing is, women, we're incredibly resourceful and capable, but quite often lack the support, guidance, and confidence to build the financial backbone, that really strong financial foundation that we need and that we really desire. So, you see, I too previously experienced challenges with money and went through my own internal awareness journey myself. And as a result, I can now help others on their path to financial wellness and wholeness. So with my background in financial planning as a financial advisor, life coaching and money coaching, when combined with these all together, it actually brings a really unique perspective and experience to helping people develop a rich and fulfilling relationship with money. And my reason for creating this webinar, by bringing us all together to inspire other women like yourself watching this to feel more joy in their lives. And I believe that the more that we talk about and share our financial issues, our insights, our challenges, and absolutely our achievements, we can actually help each other and in turn create a movement and a vital shift in how we become better and kinder human beings in the world. You know, that's just my small dream for us all. So that's a bit about me. Donny, could I get you to introduce yourself?
Yes, hello everyone. I'm Donny Walford, the founder and managing director of two companies. One is Bottom Line and one is Behind Closed Doors. I've had an executive career across corporate and government. And I set up my business because I wanted to help women, in particular through my company Behind Closed Doors, in their leadership and professional development journey. One of the programs that we developed last year, because of my passion to bridge the gender pay gap and therefore the superannuation pay gap, or the superannuation gap, is the introduction of our Financial Education for Women program. I'm very happy to have two of my financial coaches facilitators with us today, which is Karen and Marissa. So I have a real passion to help women in their careers, but just as equally a passion to ensure that women do look after themselves financially. And I know that a lot of women are embarrassed about not understanding their finances, their personal finances. I had a 20-year career in banking and finance, so it's second nature to me, but I understand it's not second nature to women. But that's no excuse to not seeking support from others, particularly other women who want to help you, to understand the basics of budgeting and the basics of investing. And by doing it with others who can help and support you, it takes away that scary truth, I guess, that you have, or that inhibitions about finding out about your finances. So if you don't understand the basics of household budgeting and what's in your super account and what a mortgage is and how much you owe on a home loan, those sorts of things, they're basic. And even your spending habits, our Financial Education for Women program will go through all of those things and then step you through being able to set your own financial goals to ensure that by the time you do retire and there is lack of government pensions available, you'll be able to look after yourself for your future.
Thanks, Donny. Eley, could you now introduce yourself?
I think you'll need to unmute Eley.
Apologies.
Sorry, Eley.
That's okay. I had an unstable connection also. So I'm Eley Garret, the founder of All In Advisory. We started in October 2018, but I would say we are a 25-year startup. We exist to empower business owners to achieve their why and goals through innovation and technology, future-proofing and thriving with them. Our mantra is all in or all out. There is no halfway. Personally, I'm a cloud enthusiast, a virtual CFO for many of my clients' businesses, a fellow CA, tax agent, and mum of three. I've also recently celebrated winning Startup Firm of the Year for All In Advisory at the Accountants Daily Awards, also Small Business Advisor and Principal of the Year at the National Women in Finance Awards, and one of the top 50 women in accounting through Practice Ignition. And I believe those recognitions come from an enormous amount of hard work over that 25-year career that I want to be able to provide to my clients and my community to lift them up and to educate and empower them to be the best financial versions of themselves they can be.
Eley, that's wonderful. Yeah, it's so inspiring. Deborah, could you now introduce yourself?
Hi, everybody. I'm Deborah Price, and I'm the odd American in the group. I'm the CEO and founder of the Money Coaching Institute. And basically, I also had a over 20-year career in the financial services as a wealth advisor and money manager. And I left the field over 20 years ago. So I've been now 20 years with the Money Coaching Institute, which was essentially something that I started out of a deep passion to want to help people to realize their greater potential, personally and financially. Because one of the things that I've learned in my career is that often, because people don't have the financial foundation that they need to be able to move forward in the world and express their gifts and create for themselves, that the potential of a human being literally gets lost. It never gets realized. And to me, that was one of the greatest tragedies of any human life. And so after working on the practical side of money, I realized that the behavioral side was completely missing, and that wasn't okay with me. I knew that the emotions and behaviors were driving all of those decisions. And I also knew that most of us didn't get what we needed in terms of modeling or, parents that knew what they were doing, because this is a deeply entrenched multi-generational issue, and it's global. I have coaches in 33 countries now, and I can tell you that this is not an American thing or an Australian thing. This is a human thing. And humanity is my religion. I'm very, very interested in helping to help people to rise from whatever place that they are now, and to help them realize that there's something greater within them, that if they could just figure out how to handle the money piece, it's not the only thing, but it is one of the most significant things that help us to climb that ladder of self-actualization that Maslow helped us to understand long ago as a psychologist. And so this is my purpose and this is my passion, and I'm just so happy that Karen has come along and she's a part of that, and she's a fabulous coach. So we're really happy to be with you here today.
Thanks, Deborah. We're really happy to have you all the way from Northern California as well. Marissa.
It's a long flight.
Marissa, could you now please introduce yourself?
Thanks, Karen. So my name's Marissa Schulze. I'm founder and managing director of Rise High Financial Solutions, which is a mortgage broking and finance business aimed at empowering our clients to achieve their financial and lifestyle goals. I started the business in 2011 after spending many years working in corporate banking for two of the big four in Australia, and realised that it was important for me to start my own business in order to put my clients first and make sure that they were my first priority. So it's been a really fun journey building the business. We've now got a team of 22 in the business, and it's just so wonderful being able to work with people explore their short, medium and long-term goals and help them to achieve their financial dreams. At the time that I started the business, I'd already been a property investor for over a decade, and I'd seen firsthand what property investment can do for you and how it can help you to achieve wealth and help give you financial freedom that will allow you to make choices that you want in your life. So that's also a big passion of ours, to help people to not only save money on their mortgage, but also look at how they can manage their money better and use property investment as a way to build the wealth that will give them the choices and freedom that they desire long term. I've also got a really strong passion and interest in financial literacy for women. I think that more women need to be better empowered with better financial literacy and education, so that they can have the confidence to make the right decisions for themselves and their family. And so I'm really excited to be part of this, because anything we can do to empower women through financial literacy is really important.
Thank you, Marissa. Well, I've just realised between the 5 of us, we've all had over 20 years experience. So right here in this room, there's over 100 years of experience coming right at the audience, which is fantastic. So I wanted to kick off the discussion panel by talking about why now is the time to be more engaged and take control of our money. Would anyone like to start?
I think it's always important to take control of your own financial situation. In my line of work, too many times or too often I see couples that basically put the responsibility of the money management on one person in the relationship, whether that be the male or the female. And the problem with that, of course, is that you can find yourself in a very vulnerable position later on in life if you lose your partner through death or illness, or if you lose your partner through a relationship breakup. So my theory is that it's really important for every single individual, every single adult, to take an active and proactive approach to managing their money, to understanding their debt, to understanding their income and expenses, their assets and liabilities, so that they have the ability to make the decisions that are right for them. So I think it's always a good time to manage your own money. And now more than ever, you know, we find ourselves in an environment where, you know, there's never been more access to information. And sometimes that can be a little bit overwhelming, but at the same time, it is empowering if you get the right information that can actually give you the knowledge that you need and the help that you need to build that confidence, so that you can actually make the right financial decisions for yourself.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm a true believer of it's never too early. You know, I talk to my little girl, you know, from the age of 5, and she's now 13, around financial choices and decisions and making conscious choices around money. Because a lot of people do put that responsibility onto others and then play the blame game. And it really is up to us to educate. But the earlier that you start making consistent, conscious choices about your finances, you will find that you will move forward and step up that financial ladder and be able to achieve the financial things that you want to achieve. And from that, you actually get that little bit of, wow, I can do this, that quick win that then allows you to keep going for those bigger items, those bigger things that you are wanting to achieve in your life. But it's certainly around making those head choices, not those heart choices, and actually understanding the consequences of each and every one of those choices financially.
It's interesting that you would say that, Eley, because what we find, interestingly enough, in the money coaching world is that most people don't make their decisions from their head at all. In fact, you know, from a neuroscience standpoint, you know, we have 3 brains, and the original brain is more instinctively driven. And so the more fearful that we are, the more that we tend to make decisions from a place of fear and or scarcity and or desire. So the instinctive brain is wired for desire, and it tends to make us human wantings. And that's actually one of the problems in society, is that we want everything, and we want everything now. And, you know, and that leads to dynamics that put us at risk. And then the emotional brain has all those old files in the archives of the past. And a lot of those, for many people, are filled with pain and shame and challenge from our family of origin. And when people don't have access, or they don't know how to get access to those dynamics, what happens is that we become triggered either at an instinctive or emotional level. And that gives us, it creates a temporary downtime for the thinking brain to come on board and actually help us make a rational and logical decision. So in fact, most people don't realize that their brain is actually designed more for desire than it is for the more practical aspects of money. And from the behavioral standpoint, we realize that most people really know they should be doing more, but they don't understand and don't have control of their own brain's operating system. So one of the things that's so important is to help people realize that there are strategies that they can take that will help them move away from the instinctive and emotional and back into their thinking brain pretty readily. And also just to heal some of those old patterns from childhood that, you know, caused us to feel somehow that we were not worthy or not enough, or created some sort of pain or wounding that has taken on a life of its own in our adult life. So
amazing.
We have a saying here, Deborah, not sure if it's worldwide or not, but your life partner is not your financial plan.
That's right.
And unfortunately, too many women, in my experience, think either a great inheritance or their partner is going to be their financial plan. And too many times I've seen just what Marissa quoted, either there's a breakup in the relationship, or unfortunately one of your partner dies and you're already grieving that loss. Why on earth you want to put yourself under that excess stress on top of the grieving? A lot of women don't know the passwords of bank accounts. They don't know how to pay invoices. And this is even when there's something called a check, write a check out to pay an invoice or a bill. Now online, it makes it harder if you can't access your bank accounts. And just to me, they're basic things that you need to know and you need to be operating. So I totally agree with what you're all saying, but in particular, Marissa, most women that I come in contact with leave the banking up to their and anything related to finances to their partners. So, and the question Karen asked is now the time? Well, I say that it's never too late. Doesn't matter if you're in your 50s or 60s. Learn about your personal finance, or even your 70s, 80s. I don't care what the age is. But obviously, if you're learning to save and invest at an earlier age of, around the 20s and your 30s, you're going to be in a much stronger position with your own personal financial wealth than you would be if you started in your 50s and 60s. But it's never too late to start. Yeah,
that's a great point, Donny. And, realistically, the perfect time to be engaged and in control and doing things about your finances was 10 years ago. So there's that saying, if you want a shade, you need to have planted a tree 10 years ago. But the second best time is right now. So, and I think what's also important, if you are in that stage where you're kind of kicking yourself and say, yeah, I should have done this 10 years ago or 15 years ago, I think a really important thing to do is to firstly forgive yourself and just say, look, I'm in this situation now. Could I have done things better in the past? Yes, I probably could, but did I have the tools and resources available to me? Most likely not. So go through a process of forgiving yourself so then you can actually move forward and make some meaningful, long-lasting changes and make the best of where you are and maximise your full financial potential going forward rather than looking backwards.
Well said, Karen.
Can I just add something to that, Karen? Because I think one of the things that we haven't talked about is financial abuse, because unfortunately there are a lot of women that find themselves in positions of financial abuse where their partner is actually so controlling that they won't actually allow their partner to actually have access or any knowledge of anything that's going on financially. And unfortunately this happens so frequently, and the person that's in the position of being, you know, financially abused really lacks the confidence to reach out and get help. But, you know, amongst this room of wonderful women, it's just shows that there is so much help out there for people to actually take the first step in, you know, building their confidence and learning about financial management. Because there was a recent study done, and it basically said that 1/3 of people considering separating from their partners weren't going to do it because of because they were scared of the financial issues. And I just think, well, if your lack of confidence with managing money is crippling your financial decisions to that effect, where you don't want to be with your partner, but you feel like you have no other choice because of the financial situation that you're in, then obviously there's a problem there that needs to be addressed. So I think what this is all about is about empowering people so that they can make the right decisions for them in their life without having to be trapped or feel trapped because of their financial position or their lack of financial understanding.
Yeah, actually, it may be the same there in Australia, but in the US, I ran a pilot program for domestic violence center in the Bay Area. The number one reason that women stay in abusive relationships, domestic violence, is fear of financial survival. So, you know, whether they're being financially abused or abused emotionally, physically, or otherwise, the money issues can become a huge trap for women and children, and occasionally even for men, but, you know, 90% or more is obviously women. So there's all kinds of reasons for us to really try to help women to understand their own fears around becoming financially powerful. Because at an emotional and behavioral issue, I'm sure every woman on this panel knows that when you become powerful, there are also consequences for that, right? And that a lot of women are afraid of having that much power, and yet to maintain the position where you are being controlled versus becoming empowered is an untenable position that is very likely going to become a problem at some time down the line. And therefore, who of us could afford to take that risk, knowing of the potential, especially with money issues being the number one cause of divorce, right?
Yeah, that's such a great point, Deborah. Thank you. So the next thing that I wanted to throw out to the panel was just to get your take on what we can actually learn or take away from the recent COVID, pandemic and crisis when it comes to our relationship with money and the actions that we should be taking in our financial lives.
If I can just step in here, I would, the way I like to see it is an opportunity to take stock, to look at how we've done things in the past and how we might be able to make it better. It's shown everybody that we live in a really fragile economy and everybody relies on each other. So we need to have kind of plan B, C, D, E, F, G. And we actually do need to think about it. So often, you know, if you have a good income, we don't put insurance on it, we don't protect it, but should we? Is that something we should think about doing? And so for me, it was really a great time for the businesses that I work with and the clients that I work with to take stock, see it as an opportunity and see how we might be able to pivot and move forward and actually look at how we can take better control, but also that cash is king and that we need to be able to have what we call a war chest of reserves, so that if the worst happens, there's something there to back us up and be a buffer. That's certainly the things that I've learned during this pandemic.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree with what Eley said. And I think from a financial perspective, this has been a reminder that things do go wrong and that unexpectedly you could lose your income and something can happen that would impact the financial well-being of your family. So having that reserve, that emergency fund that will actually see you through, 3 to 6 months of reduced income is so important. And I always, we're always stressing to our clients, pay yourself first, pay yourself first. So that's about making sure that you're putting aside a certain amount of your income, for emergencies like we've just experienced, and also, for investing in your future. So I think it's, when times are good, it's really easy to forget to pay yourself first. And Australians do have the habit of just spending every dollar that they make, and sometimes spending more than every dollar that they make, which is why credit cards do so well with the banks. But really, this is about, if we've learned anything over the last few months, is that your income is not guaranteed and your employment is not guaranteed. Things can go wrong, whether you're self-employed or employed by an organisation. It's really important to have a buffer of savings that will actually support you in times of reduced employment, in times of hardship, where you can actually dip into in the case of an emergency.
Yeah, and I think just kind of in addition to the financial strategies that people really need to consider in order to protect themselves for the event of, whether it's this or a recession or whatever, I think COVID in particular has brought forth this idea that in this time of going inward and, being in lockdown, and it looks like many of us are going to be in lockdown longer. Fortunately, you guys aren't, it sounds like. But this idea that you use this time, is this a crisis or is this an opportunity, as Eley was saying? And is there some part of yourself that you didn't yet let have a chance to be expressed? Is there a book inside of you? Are you an artist and you can paint and maybe sell your paintings? Are you a musician who could suddenly produce some new music that you could then go online and sell? Because we live in a world today where you don't have to have someone else give you permission to live your dream. You can actually find a way to do it now, and it's much easier now than it's ever been before. So I think this is going to give rise to a lot of creativity and innovation. We're already seeing innovation. What's inside of you that still longs to be expressed, that can actually give you additional income? And even if it's not about the income, maybe you have enough income from investments or other kinds of insurances that you have. Maybe it's just a time to open up your dreams and your passions and see what's inside of you that is bringing forth the new opportunity that would allow you to feel like something good came of this. Is there a silver lining or a blessing in disguise that you could tap into and create from? Because I think that's the most wonderful thing about human beings, is that we are incredibly resourceful and adaptable and creative. Let's bring that forward during this time.
Lovely words, Deborah. What I've loved about the COVID is exactly what you were describing. What are the opportunities rather than what are all the bad things? And one thing I've really loved is seeing people looking out for others more than they had before, families doing things together. But what I've noticed speaking to all of my clients and colleagues around Australia is that people have saved more because they're not going out and spending a lot more at the bottle takeaway delivery though. But what they've really saved on is the amount of times they went out for meals and instead having home meals and family meals and sitting down together and enjoying what we probably all grew up with. But even in business, we've all seen that we really don't need to get on a plane every week, which is something that I did, and it's very tiring but really expensive. So a lot of our credit cards are showing the benefits of not jumping on a plane all the time. I'm sure that if we looked at our personal expenses, there's other areas where we're probably not spending as much. And the thing coming out of COVID in recovery and forward is, well, what did we do that in saying what Marissa was saying about paying yourself first, what did we do differently during COVID that we can maintain the discipline post-COVID that will put that savings away for us? We'll be able to spend money on those creative activities perhaps, or invest some and play with some, rather than, as Marissa said, we just spend everything. So I think if we learn the disciplines through COVID and just carry them through post-COVID would be a good thing to do.
Probably just one more opportunity that I just thought about, putting my mortgage broker hat on, is that interest rates are at historical lows. And COVID has meant, or is meaning, that interest rates are going to stay low for some time. So now is a really great time to be paying down some debt, because interest rates are not going to get lower than where they are now. So now's a really great time to be consolidating, taking stock of what what your assets and liabilities are, paying down some debt, planning on, like Donny said, trying to continue some of the habits that you've had during COVID that have actually been really good on the bottom line. But definitely it's a great opportunity to be getting on top of that debt now as well. That's
a good point, Marissa, because last week my bank sent me a letter electronically just saying that we've reduced your mortgage payments, and it worked out to about $100. And if you'd like to keep them at the same, go through this process. And I think it would be so easy for people to just take the extra $100, but so much better to keep your payments at the same and knock that interest down, but also knock your loan off quicker. So if you've been able to cope to this point, surely you could either pay a bit more off or at least keep your payments at the same. So it's a good point.
Yeah, I think a lot of that is going on because they want people to take the extra $100 or whatever it is and stimulate the economy. It's so fascinating that us financial professionals are trying to get people to get a handle on their spending, and the government is trying to get people to spend. It's like, what's wrong with this picture,
Yeah,
completely.
completely.
But the other thing is, Karen, I don't know if you'd like to talk about this, but think about how low, the stock market is, and the opportunities from the standpoint of buying low right now for many really good investments is something for people to consider. If you haven't gotten in, not to become highly speculative or anything, but do you have many people coming to you right now for investment advice at a time when prices are low?
Absolutely, and probably the prices were quite low a couple of months ago. We have had a significant rally, not to say that I'm surprised actually that we have rallied up so high, so it's more than likely that there'll be another fall. But yes, I absolutely had more clients contact me saying it's now a good time to buy, and it's sort of like if we can shift from buying clothes and shoes and other things to actually buying shares and investments and investing in our future, it would all help so much, such significant. And I guess I was almost in a fortunate position that back in December, it was around Christmas time last year. At Christmas time we spend a lot more money and things like that. I was quite conscious of it, and I was like, I'd made a very firm decision that for the next 6 months, so from the 1st of January to the 30th of June, I'm nearly there, I'm not going to buy any clothes. I've got a wardrobe full of clothes, and I'm not going to go to the shop to buy any clothes. So COVID's kind of, in the lockdowns, kind of helped me out from that retail. It's quite fortuitous for me not being able to, it took the temptation away. But what I can share is that I haven't missed it. And, there was a few times where I had that kind of niggle, but it really just making that conscious decision about, no, I'm not going to spend money in that area for 6 months and see how that goes. And I completely haven't missed it. And the thing is, the crisis that we've all gone through, crises aren't new. So it was only, 12 years ago we had the GFC. 2000 we had the tech wreck. Before that, the oil crisis. So the share market does go up and down, and we experience these things on a regular basis. What I see though is that those crises aren't the thing that wears down our financial results. It's more around the decisions we make with the money day to day. They have a much greater negative impact on our net wealth and where we are financially than any market prices that, you know, go and then come back up. So that's probably what I took away from this. So does anyone have anything else? I think everyone's had some very varied, different perspectives. So it's been fantastic to share those. Before I move to the next topic, would anyone like to add anything?
There's just one little thing that I think is important, which is that, you know, worldwide, one of the things that we're hearing is how many people are suffering from depression, and they've been scared, they don't know what's going to happen, the future feels very uncertain. And so often when people feel depressed, they will head toward retail therapy. And so just to be aware that when you shop, especially online, is so easy and so accessible, that often what you're getting is a hit of dopamine. And dopamine is essentially a neurotransmitter that is a chemical compound that literally gives you a temporary feeling of euphoria. And we need dopamine to survive, but it is one of those things that we have to be careful of because it's a form of self-medicating. And so just be aware that there are other things that you can do to get some positive hormones and endorphins and chemicals that are going to make us feel good or feel better. And that shopping and or any other kind of more speculative investing or anything like that actually can spur on addictive tendencies. And in many ways, I think money is the addiction of our time. It's so fascinating to me that when they opened up certain parts of different places, the first thing that you saw were all these massive lines in front of various, big stores, whether it's Target or shopping mall or whatever. And I found that really sad, that after everything we've been through, the first thing that people just want to do is go out and shop. And that's an indicator that we're trying to, sometimes you go because you just need something, but ask yourself, am I doing this to feel better? And is this going to give me a temporary high? Because most people will say they do get that blissed out feeling when they shop, but it's temporary. And then you get the bill and you don't feel so happy. So just know that this is a neurobiological issue. And if we really just stop and understand that these are tendencies that are not serving us and really reflect, as some of you have talked about, is this something that you're about to buy that you really need? Or is this going to cause you to have more debt and ultimately less financial freedom? And I think now is a particular time to reflect on that a little more deeply.
Thanks, Deborah. Yeah, that is a great insight for those women that do have that tendency to fill a void with shopping. I know I've certainly been there myself. So we've got a very special group of women here. It's only reflecting on after I'd actually put the lineup together of the speakers, is that we have a collection of women here that have all actually now working in a business that we're truly passionate about. So, we push back on this is what we should do. And we've all come from traditional backgrounds, whether it be in banking and finance, or actually they've all been banking and finance. And, we've just all decided that we want to create our own path and have made that conscious decision to live for our purpose and what lights us up. And I was just wondering if we could go around and actually share our experiences, maybe what you've learned, what the results been, what have been your challenges, or anything that you want to share with women listening to this that are sort of sitting in their employment or career or business and saying, it's not giving me that joy, I don't feel fulfilled, and have the aspirations to go out and take that leap like the five of us have.
I think for me, I'd worked for people for nearly 25 years and I felt like I had this corporate veil. I could never really be me. There was elements of me, but not always the full me, and I felt like I had the handbrake on because people just kept stopping me because I just wanted to keep going forward. I had all these great ideas and really felt like there was change happening. I wanted to kind of grasp all of these opportunities, but I just kept feeling like the handbrake was on. So my decision to move into my own business was literally taking the handbrake off and being brave and courageous enough to do it. And it's a roller coaster. I mean, I'm very early on my journey and I've already experienced quite a few things, and including a pandemic, which, you know, we've actually grown from. Thankfully, we're in a really great industry that allowed us to do that. But, you know, I think the things that I've learned is that there's an incredible amount of joy and freedom in running my own business, in making those decisions. It does come with its stressful moments, but I think if you have the community and the support around you to lean on, to guide you, you know, that it's just the smallest component, but I love to focus on the stuff that I'm passionate about and the joy around that. And for me, it was really around, I had this dream and putting some plans in place and actually doing it. I think so often we think about things and we want to do it, but those people that actually get in and actually do it and take those actions, even if it's just one step in front of the other, that is where you can find your greatest joy. And for me, it has been an amazing experience, and I'm just so looking forward to what's ahead.
For me, I made the decision to start my own business when I was heavily pregnant with my first child. But there were multiple reasons for wanting to start my business. And probably one of the main drivers for me was that I did get to a point working in commercial banking where I found that the values of the organisation were often conflicting with my own personal values. And it became very clear to me after many years that, you know, banks are always going to put shareholders before customers. And that's, you know, that's what they need to do. That's their organisation. But for me, I really struggled with that because I wanted to put my clients first. So I think when you're finding yourself in an organisation where your values are in conflict, it's really hard to remain passionate about what you're doing. And I really wanted to be passionate about what I wanted, you know, what I was doing every day. So for me, that was a big driver to get out and start my own business. And I found that, you know, yes, definitely it's a roller coaster when you are starting your own business, but the freedom that you get and the, you know, the what it fills you up with so much joy to be able to deliver on something that you know is hugely valuable to the people that you're serving and be able to make a real positive difference in their life, I think it's definitely worth it. Yes, there are times when it's a little bit stressful. Yes, there are times when it's hard, but I've had great joy out of being able to serve our clients in a way that feels really good to me, in a way that fits with my values and morals. And not only, you know, over time, it's not only been helping the clients that's been really satisfying, but it's also been really rewarding growing my team and being able to help other people to develop really great careers that they're really passionate about, and, you know, give back in a big way and be really internally rewarded, not only financially but also internally rewarded by what they're doing. And so I think there's just so much value in taking that leap, and it is scary because I'm a very calculated person, so leaving that six-figure income at the bank to start something that was completely unknown is really, really hard. And then when the business got busier and my husband had to leave his six-figure income to come into the business, that was another really hard point for us. But definitely it's been worth it 100%. So yeah, definitely recommend pursuing your passion and finding something that you love doing, because when you love doing it, it doesn't feel like hard work.
Definitely. So as both Karen and Marissa know, the reason I set up Behind Closed Doors was to keep women in corporate world. I really wanted to see more women achieve executive roles, and the whole reason for Behind Closed Doors was to keep you there, support you and encourage you, but particularly support you to stay there so that I could build a bigger pool of women available for board roles, which was my ultimate vision, to get a lot more diversity, particularly gender diversity initially, but true diversity onto Australian boards. But the reason I set up my business over 14 years ago was exactly what Ali was saying, that everywhere you worked and the higher you got, the more people wanted, and boards even wanting to put handbrakes on you. And you had such great ideas, and everyone thought of all the reasons why you shouldn't do something, not all the reasons why you should. So I follow the 3 F's principle in my business, and I think we've already heard a few of them, but freedom, flexibility and fun. I'm sure you can't say those same 3 words in working for someone else. And Marissa, everyone said to me, starting my business initially, you know, wasn't I scared about doing that? And I think when you're building businesses for everybody else, you know you can do it. If you can do it for everyone else, surely you can do it for yourself. Surely if you're doing it your way, and looking after the client, and do we make mistakes? Absolutely. And those mistakes hurt because they hurt your own hip pocket, and a lot of time and energy you can't get back. But that's part of growth. And when you're in your own business, you learn really quickly by those mistakes, and try not to make the same mistakes twice. But there's nothing like the freedom and flexibility of running your own gig, and also the success, that feeling of success, though dopamines, instead of going retail shopping, Deborah, you can get those every single minute of the day. And Marissa, when you build a team and you see your team grow and develop, and they add flavour to your business that you're not adding personally, it's all beautiful stuff. And whilst I've always loved developing people, it's when it's your own business and you're seeing that development, there's something different about that sense of satisfaction. So yeah, would I ever go and work for someone again? Absolutely not. I do get my jollies by being on a number of boards where I am around the decision-making table with some other awesome directors and very different industry sectors. So if I didn't have my board work, I'd miss it. I would. But I get the best of both worlds running my own business and sitting on boards.
That's great. Well, for me, I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've been self-employed most of my adult life. I have had some experiences working for major Fortune 500 and Fortune 100 companies while I was a financial advisor. But I have found that and it looks like it's true for everybody here, that the minute somebody tries to control me or stifle me, I'm just like, I'm sorry, but I can't do that. And that's why one of the reasons I left the financial services industry as well is I was working for Merrill Lynch, and they put out a mandate, which was you couldn't take any new clients on who had less than $250,000 in investable assets. And I said, I refuse to do that. I have a lot of women clients who don't have nearly $250,000 yet, but my job is to help them get there. And if you're going to tell me that I can't have those people because they don't have enough, I can't work for you anymore. And I left. That wasn't the only reason, but just the idea that, everybody deserves to have financial advice. You shouldn't have to come in with such a big amount of money initially and not to be worthy of that because you don't have enough was inconceivable to me. So, and then, the Money Coaching Institute, I started basically with a prayer and a song, and it was a field, the behavioral side of money, nobody talked about it. It was non-existent. So it was a little scary. I was a single mom. I had a little 6-year-old daughter at the time. And I don't really recommend that people pioneer a field by themselves. It was not easy. But, I look at it now and it's kind of a miracle. And I do believe that once you stake a claim to something and you said, this is who I am and this is what I'm going to be about, And I'm trying to make a difference in the world. And so come what may, that there is something at a spiritual level where you start to get cooperation and support. I don't know if you felt that. I bet you all have, but the sense of, I really can't fail. It may not always be easy and it could be scary, but once you stake a claim, there is something quite magical that can happen where you can feel that you will be supported, because there need to be more people who are willing to step out and do what needs to be done. And if more people did that, imagine what our world would look like. So I'm just really proud to be a part of this group and to meet all of you and see what you've all done with each of your lives and the difference that you're making. And I know that Miss Karen is also making a huge difference. Karen, unmute yourself.
There we go. So thank you, Deborah. That was beautiful insight. You know, going around and listening to all of your backgrounds and stories and your journeys, there's nothing there that any of you said that I couldn't relate to personally myself, having gone through similar journeys as you. Like Marissa, I started in one of the big 4 banks over 20 years ago, and yeah, the value misalignment. And but I think for me, it was really about, you know, being a financial advisor. I absolutely loved what I did, but I just felt like it wasn't my true calling. Whereas doing the money coaching and doing the internal financial relationship work is, it just really makes my heart sing. And it was like, you know, what Donny was saying before, it's just about fun. Like I don't go to work, I go and play. It's just fun, and it just doesn't feel like work at all. So for any of you out there that are thinking about, you know, it's just the perfect time to be thinking, you know, are you living, you know, the most fulfilling, rewarding life that you could be? And it's not necessarily going and starting your own business. It might be changing career or doing something that you're really passionate about. So doesn't need to be, you know, taking that leap like we have and starting our own business. It could be just, you know, studying or relearning or reskilling to do something that you're really passionate about and really love. So I just want to take this opportunity to thank all of you. I think it's been a wonderful discussion, and I know that the women listening have got huge value out of it. I'm going to conclude now. Is there anything anyone else would like to wrap up with first? No, we've all set it up.
Thank you, Karen, for putting this together, and best wishes to all of you.
Yeah, and
yes, thank you.
Deborah, all thoughts to you and your American colleagues, and would love to hook up again if this is helpful to everybody.
Absolutely, we shall definitely do that. Thank you.